There is still a little time left until International Fight Week, and UFC 303 is already the largest gate in UFC history. We will finally hear the verbal exchanges between Conor McGregor and Michael Chandler at the promised press conference. But per Conor's recent interview, it looks like we won't be seeing the usual McGregor on the microphone.
I feel like at no point during this you've ever really felt a lot of heat towards Chandler. Like, he's a good opponent, right? He's got an interesting style, but you've seen it before. I get the impression that you're thinking it's a nice one for the comeback, but there's no real like animosity between.
Yeah, no, I don't think I'll go to that level again. You know, it doesn't serve a purpose. It doesn't serve me well. You know, like you say, you remain cold to the situation. You remain emotionless. It's a blank face.
Not only do people enjoy seeing him fight, but they also enjoy listening to him trash talk. Many fighters have been crushed by his mental warfare before they even enter the cage, but it appears like Michael Chandler will be fortunate to avoid that phase of the fight. What's up, guys? Welcome to Clash of MMA. And since Conor said he won't be engaging in trash talk, we made today's video to remind you of awesome moments from the ancient times when McGregor was the subscribe and like buttons with a quick left and a shoot and a takedown on the notification bell so you don't miss anything. Without further ado, let's get into it. Dustin Poirier. It's ironic that things started and ended with Dustin Poirier. Before the fight, Conor cooked him well to get an aggressive version of Diamond and thus ensure himself a first-round knockout. It was one of the many examples of notorious when trash talk goes right.
I've never disliked somebody that much
I'm a nice guy now. He likes me after I whoop his ass.
It makes no difference about nothing. Dustin, a little pea head. Dustin thinks it's all talk. But when he wakes up with his nose plastered on the other side of his face, he's gonna know it's not all talk. Weakness is obviously his chin. You know, look, don't get me wrong, I like the kid. He's a quiet little hillbilly from the back arse of nowhere. You know, I've nothing against the guy, you know what I mean? I'm sure he grew up in a circus or a fair, or, you know, he's a nice little kid. So Cletus, or, you know, his cousin's probably named Cletus or something. He's a nice kid. He doesn't have a vision of what's going to happen, as you can clearly see. Dustin's little pea head is going to get removed. It's going to get put into my collection.
Do you have any thoughts on Dennis Siver?
My thoughts on Dennis Siver is he's a midget German steroid head.
Dennis Siver. After that, he got his first main event at UFC Fight Night 59. His opponent, Dennis Siver, had a similar opinion as Dustin. He had never met someone he hated so much. Siver said he wants to destroy McGregor's face more than he wants the title, but Dennis didn't speak English, so he didn't stand a chance on the microphone, and he didn't stand a chance in the fight either.
It's a lower fight. He's a German. He was done for steroid abuse. He's the ugliest little gremlin you've ever seen in your life.
It is a mismatch. I'm gonna whoop his ass. I'm gonna collect the checks, and then I'm gone.
Chad Mendez.
I'm waiting patiently to pull the trigger. So we've done a lot of build up into this. Like I said, I built this event. This is the McGregor show.
As he got closer to the title, he would get more creative with words. He was supposed to fight Jose Aldo, but due to a rib injury, Jose was out, and Chad Mendez was in for the interim featherweight title. Although Mendez entered the story late, 2 weeks before the fight, that did not stop McGregor from showering him with words of love.
Hey, Conor, do you know what wrestling is?
I could rest my balls on your forehead.
Yeah, I know. So, all right, I'm 5'6".
You're 5'4" at least.
3 inches taller than me, buddy.
5'4" at least. You should stand up because we can barely see you on the screen.
Having little time until the fight didn't make Mendez any safer in talks with McGregor.
He's too small. It's as simple as that.
Even after Conor beat him, Mendez found himself at the pre-conference with him later on, and McGregor did not spare him even then.
If you fucking have the
How
balls
much?
to do anything.
With that $500,000, you're making bets with that $500,000 I gave you. 48,000 you went from.
Shut up and let me
You went from 48,000 to $500,000. Thank me and be grateful. Be grateful.
But no one's mind suffered like Jose Aldo's, apart from Nurmagomedov, of course. But unlike Khabib, Jose crumbled. All the speeches and actions clouded his mind. Conor tore Aldo's picture in front of the audience, stole his belt on several occasions, and his comedic timing was perfect at every moment. The fact that Aldo doesn't speak English was an additional aggravating circumstance for him, and Conor was on a trash-talking rampage every time he spoke about the Brazilian champion. However, Conor did learn some Portuguese to be 100% sure that Aldo understood him.
Look into my eyes, little man. Little Brazilian. Ooh, vamos, hey. What you got to say? Otario, otario! Otario, otario! You know what that means? Pussy.
Jose Aldo was abused verbally. And physically.
What you gonna do?
He literally managed to destroy a man who doesn't even speak English. It takes two to fight, but to do pre-fight work, only one microphone is enough, and that's the one in Conor's hand.
I said, I am his daddy.
Nunca vai ser.
Sit on my lap.
Nunca vai ser. Tá mais fácil.
Sit on my lap.
Eu domino.
Sit on my lap,
Eu domino
kid.
tudo.
You'll never be.
Rafael dos Anjos.
I believe I will dust Rafael inside 1 minute. He is a slower, sloppier version of Aldo. He's like a bum version of Aldo.
He was determined to become a double champion, but before the title found its way to Eddie Alvarez, the champion was Rafael dos Anjos, who was scheduled to fight McGregor.
I'll send him back home to California. He's home. We're sending Rafael on a 4-day media run throughout Brazil in a couple of weeks, and we've got to book him a hotel. I've got to book him a hotel in his own home country. So that should tell you all you need to know. He will never step off a plane and receive a hero's welcome in the country of Brazil because he ran from the country of Brazil. He didn't trust his own. And that's why Jose is the true champion in his country, and this guy in Brazilian lingo is a gringo, and that is the truth.
The irony is that RDA had to listen to all this without having the opportunity to face McGregor in the cage due to injury. Let's not forget that it was through Rafael dos Anjos that Conor introduced Red Panty Night to the UFC audience, a statement that has become synonymous with big money fights.
Ask yourself truthfully, if Dana rang you and said, you don't have to fight Cerrone, you can fight McGregor, even though Cerrone was still fit, would you take it?
Of course, man. Easy money.
I can make you rich. I change your bum life. You fight me, it's a celebration. When you sign to fight me, it's a celebration. You ring back home, you ring your wife. Baby, we done it. We're rich, baby. Conor McGregor made us rich. Break out the red panties.
Nate Diaz. Nate Diaz, on the other hand, proved to be immune to Conor's words. McGregor, with all his efforts, could not achieve the desired result of disarming Nate's psyche, but that did not diminish the fun. Diaz, as such, made things even funnier with his I don't care attitude. Even Conor was entertained by the way Nate acted.
He's like a little cholo gangster from the hood. But at the same time, he coaches kids jiu-jitsu on a Sunday morning. He makes gun signs with the right hand and animal balloons with the left hand.
Fuck you. Fuck you, pal.
I don't give a fuck what you say, motherfucker. Yeah, thugging on mine, motherfucker. What you got?
Both proved to be a perfect duo for arguing on the microphone, but also for fighting. You could watch them going at each other every month. It would be a lie to say that Nate didn't get under Conor's skin. At least a little, especially after beating him the first time. And when the rematch was scheduled, we had the privilege of watching them do it all over again. Eddie Alvarez.
There, I can hit you from anywhere.
After Nate, Conor McGregor went for Eddie Alvarez and his lightweight title. If Eddie had known the psychological abuse the Irishman would bring him, he probably would have stayed in Bellator. We all remember the golden moment when Conor waited for a frustrated Alvarez to leave the press conference so he could storm in with his fur coat and take the belt. This is the recipe that destroyed Jose Aldo, and it showed the same results in the division above.
You know what? I don't even have an opponent. I'll see you guys tomorrow, okay? Yo, when he comes, you give me a call. Here he is. Sorry I'm late, I just don't give a fuck!
And the scene where Dana White tries to separate him from Alvarez is nothing short of priceless. McGregor looked like pissed off Santa Claus, but he couldn't get through the hands of the president.
I'm I'm a fucking pimp. Rocking Gucci mink. And without me, this whole fucking ship sink.
As Conor said, it's the mink coat that had him feeling all kinds of ways. And Eddie, well, he only wanted an apology.
I came for an apology from him. I want an apology for saying my wife and kids. Suck these big artish balls.
The golden era of McGregor was spectacular, and his actions backed up what he said. He had no equal in the UFC, and then things went downhill when he went too far in name-calling with Khabib, who choked him out and squeezed out all his trash-talking powers. Conor was never the same, and then it was time for Dustin Poirier's revenge, and things went completely wrong for him. Twice! Later in the fights, he could not decide whether he would be a good guy or a bad guy.
To the last fight, you were unusually kind to Dustin. Now on fight week, it's the exact opposite. So when did that switch happen?
Because he got knocked the fuck out.
Well, we'll always have his golden oldies that show what he was like in his prime. The best thing about him, you didn't have to be his opponent to be a victim of his verbal violence, and it didn't matter what weight division you belonged to.